When people talk about their favorite novel, they might talk about the story, or they might talk about the plot. Some might talk about the narrative. All of these words are used to describe the novel, but what is the difference? So today we are going to take a closer look at the difference between the terms story, plot and narrative. Let's start with the term story. Meet Alice and Tim. They are a couple and they are in love. Tim and Alice break up. Tim meets Charlie, they fall in love and they marry. Alice is alone and sad. Alice meets Steve, they fall in love and they marry. This is an example of a story. So a story is a series of events that take place on the various pages of a novel or in the acts of a play. So you have heard a lot of stories, but usually they do not sound like what I've told you about Alice and Tim. They sound more like this. Alice and Tim were in love, but as time went on, they started to fight a lot, which made both of them very sad. At the same time, Tim met Charlie at the local gym, and they fell in love. That's why Tim and Alice broke up, and 2 years later, Tim and Charlie married. But Alice was alone and very sad. And since she didn't want to live like that forever, she started to use a dating app. That's how she met Steve, and they fell in love, and eventually they married too. That sounds more like a story, doesn't it? This is because of the plot. The plot connects the events of a story and explains to the reader how things happen and why. Now that we know what a plot and a story is and how they are connected, we can take a closer look at the narrative. A story is nothing that comes out of the blue. A writer sat down and wrote it. While writing the story, he had to make a lot of difficult decisions. He did not only invent the characters, but had also to imagine what kind of people they are. The next question he had to answer was, who is going to tell the story? Is it one of the characters, or is it a narrator who has got nothing to do with the story? Another important question the author has to answer is, where is the story going to take place? Is it going to take place in a large city or in a small village? This might influence the story and the way he has to write about the daily lives of the characters. There are more things that are important when it comes to the narrative, but to put it into a nutshell, the narrative is a term used to talk about the decisions the author made when writing the story. These decisions also include writing techniques and other important things which can only be found when analyzing the narrative in greater detail. Today we took a closer look at the terms story, plot and narrative. We found out that those are interconnected. Since the story is only a series of events, a story without a plot wouldn't make much sense, because it would be boring and we wouldn't know how the things are connected with each other. And the story and the plot are part of the narrative, which includes all the decisions the author made when writing the story. This not only includes things like the setting or the characters and who they are, but also technical and stylistic decisions the author had to make while writing the story. This is all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did so, then don't forget to like the video. If not, you know what to do then. Now, have a great day and see you soon.